Ya. Lucas Posada.
Antonio.
Lucas, ¿qué tal todo?
Todo muy bien, ¿y ustedes cómo están?
Bien.
Artista, Lucas. Buenas.
Hola.
Conocimos hace un par de añitos en el festival de Antonio.
Claro. ¿Cómo estás, Pedro?
Muy bien.
Lucas, muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Bueno, estamos recuperando algo de tiempo y Lucas es una de esas personas, como acaba de decir Pedro, que nos conocimos todo el año pasado, o muchos nos conocimos el año pasado, y yo me quedé muy prendado, muy fascinado de Lucas, de ese guerrillero de la tierra, de esos 60 cultivos que le quedan a la tierra, como él dice, ¿no? Y hasta tal punto que yo creo que se hicieron amistades virtuales, porque hay gente que no nos han podido ver, pero entre Lucas, Miriam Cozar, Pep Puyol, que ha estado hoy también con nosotros, hicisteis ahí buenas migas y sé que habéis estado enredando y haciendo cosas, o intentándolo al menos, que ya es. Así que, Lucas, bienvenido y nada, tienes, mira, son las 2:15 hasta las 2:30, ¿de acuerdo?
Vale.
Un abrazo, Lucas.
Gracias. So, I'm thinking about this being a global event, and I want to take the opportunity to do this in English so that more people can, I guess, hear from our story of place. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it in English. And para todos los hispanoparlantes, pues yo creo que vamos a tener otras oportunidades de escuchar y narrar esas historias en español. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Lucas Posada, the co-founder of Cocina Intuitiva, which is a food education and agro-biodiversity food supplier based in Medellin, Colombia. We create learning experiences and good food products, and I'll elaborate in that further on. I guess one of our main purposes is to advance regenerative cultures through food, and that seems quite a big challenge, but we are really happy that we're tackling and that we're doing the things that we can do. So I'm here to talk about one of our projects. As I said before, we are a food education company, but also have this new line of products, which we are calling a biodiverse pantry. And this especially is something that I'm really proud of. And actually, I'm gonna turn on the clock so that I'm sure I'm on time. So I'm here to talk about the biodiverse pantry, and specifically about a line of products that we are calling a nutritionally dense and high eco-social impact condiments. And that's kind of a very long title, but it actually relates to what we want to do. So we've been researching about food culture and our story of place here in Colombia. And we realized that similarly to other parts of the world, we have a diet pattern that is very similar to the American SAD diet, SAD, which is Standard American Diet. It's a diet which is high on sugar, is high on inflammatory fats, it's low on micronutrients and fiber. And this is developing a lot of, I guess, health and ecological crisis due to monocropping and industrial farming. And the way that impacts our health, specifically in Colombia, it's tremendous. So we have 3 million Colombians who are going to bed every night being hungry. And at the same time, 54% of the Colombian population is overweight. Not to mention how we are seeing a decrease in our biocultural diversity. We are losing our most precious, I guess, asset in Colombia, which is a biodiversity and also a cultural diversity. So we went about designing something to, I guess, to improve that situation. And we started with different educational programs. We work with schools, specifically kindergartens. We have about 1,800 children between 2 and 5 years old eating menus that we designed with local ingredients and real foods. And that was all good, but we wanted to take it a step further and to develop our own line of good food products. So these had something specifically that we wanted to tackle. And we wanted, I mean, first we knew that these products, they had to be pleasurable. They have to be delicious. That was the starting point. And also it had to relate to our diversity and also to some agricultural byproducts that were being wasted, so that we can reincorporate that into the food web. And we also wanted to use Colombian superfoods, or almost forgotten foods that we were researching. And on top of that, we wanted to be an accessible food product. So doing that research, we had the opportunity to travel to Borneo. This was really far away from Colombia, but we found out that over there, some people will use cassava leaves. You know, we tend only to eat specific parts of the vegetables or the foods. In the cassava aspect, it will be only the root vegetable. But it turns out that these people were eating the leaves. They were cooking the leaves in kind of like soups and stews. And it was really interesting to us. And when we came back to Colombia, we realized that pretty much no one knew about the cassava leaves, and it was all being wasted. At the same time, we had the opportunity to attend to a conference, an online conference by Dr. Clara Brandão. She's a nutritionist in Brazil. And she was talking about how she created like a food supplement with local ingredients, cheap ingredients, and that they were easy to come by. And this multi-mixture, as she called it, it was based on cassava leaves. It also had some rice and sweet potato leaves and other things that were easily accessible by communities. And she was able to take out from malnutrition thousands and thousands of people in the favelas. So this was, okay, we have to do something with the cassava leaf. So we talked to a friend. She's a farmer and she has a food forest about 15 miles from Medellin, where we're based. And she told us, I can give you the cassava leaves. I can dehydrate the cassava leaves and then send it to you as a powder. We need it as a powder. So we tried the cassava leaves, and you know, nothing really special, just kind of like a green leaf sort of thing. A lot of chlorophyll kind of taste. But the research showed that cassava leaves had as much protein as lentils, chickpeas, beans. So it was really high on protein. Also, it had almost as much iron and calcium as meat. So it was like a superfood. So we knew we wanted to incorporate these almost forgotten Colombian superfood. Is, you know, cassava comes from the Amazon. 40% of Colombian territory is the Amazon. So it was really close to our roots, but we knew we had to mix it with something else because we wanted it to be pleasurable and enjoyable. you know, it has to be delicious. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So we decided to take some inspiration from Japan, from the gomasio, which are toasted sesame seeds, grinded and mixed with seaweed and salt. So instead of seaweed, we put the cassava leaf and we added sea salt. And the mixture of these three simple ingredients, it was just mind-blowing. First of all, it had all the creaminess and, you know, the depth of the toasted sesame seeds, which, by the way, they are not from Colombia, originally from Colombia, but we have a long tradition of using and growing sesame seeds. We have migrants that came from Middle East years ago in the north of Colombia, and we have some tradition and gastronomy and traditional recipes based on sesame seeds. So we were able to get these seeds. Like I said, they provided this pungent and deep flavor and creaminess. Sesame seeds are full of good fats and calcium and fiber. But when you mix it with the cassava leaf, which provides some sort of smokiness to it, and the sea salt, it created this umami, which for us was new. We, here in Latin America, we are not trained to taste umami, but we researched about it, we traveled, and we knew about umami. So this umami, when we tried with other foods, we realized that it was something that sort of made food taste better in general. Vegetable, nuts, seeds, fruits, meats. Everything was tasting amazing. So also doing that, we realized when we tested it out with different people, we realized that it empowered amateur cooks to be creative in the kitchen without being afraid of, oh, you know, my food is not going to be as tasty as I wanted. But adding this umami condiment and high on nutrition, it was really nice. So this was kind of like a turning point where people were asking for this cassava leaf condiment, and they were asking if we had more food to sell. It was new to us. We didn't plan for it. But we started to develop different condiments, such as this one, based on sesame seeds, but it had some powdered hibiscus flower and also Yuquitania chili. Yuquitania is an Amazonian ancestral technique of dehydrating wild chilies and then make it into a powder. And in Colombia, even though we have this vast diversity of chilies, we are not trained to taste the differences of flavors that chili will provide to foods. We only understand chili as something spicy or sweet chili. We have a sweet chili here, but we are not trained to understand the complexities of chili as a condiment. And so we wanted to introduce this, and this condiment has been really well perceived by our customers. It's very, it's sour, it's salty, and it has this kick and warmth to your food. It makes your palate sort of bubble. It's amazing. And as we kept continuing with this biodiverse pantry, we started realizing that there were a lot of agriculture byproducts, such as this one. So the cacao industry, we only eat the cacao bean, right? But it turns out that this is a seed from a fruit, which is the cacao fruit. So all the pulp surrounding that seed is basically wasted. But as it turns out, when you take that pulp and you boil it down, it becomes this sort of syrupy kind of honey, equal parts acidity, equal parts sweetness. So this is another product that we are really proud of. And the beauty of this is that we started realizing that we could help these small-scale farmers, which we are working with, to provide new sources of income, to give them new ideas, to transform, to add some added value to their ingredients. So for instance, we have a line of alternative flours. So instead of getting cassava as a raw vegetable, we empower these communities to dehydrate and make it into a powder. So they can charge us more, but that's what we want. We want to provide these local economies with added value. So we had cassava flour, we have sweet potato flour, we also have chontaduro flour, which is a peach palm fruit. It's also known as the vegan or vegetable egg, really high on nutrition. It works really well with other pastry. And as we kept going, we realized that we wanted to promote this diversity, this agroecological way of farming with small-scale farming and peasants. And it's been a roller coaster, to be honest. It's not easy, as Colombia is very it's not as big as other countries, but our terrain, we have 3 Andean mountains. So sometimes it's really hard to get the ingredients out from the rural Colombia to the city, where we educate people on how to eat these foods and how to enjoy these foods that are part of our agrobiology.
Because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Please just close it, and we appreciate it, because it's so late here, and yeah, please just wrap up.
Of course, Pedro. So this is what I wanted to tell you, and as a final thought, I just want to make a toast, just to I guess to talk about this subject. So today is World Food Day, but also it's Food Sovereignty Day. And I'm toasting with this spirit from the Pacific side of Colombia, which is being persecuted for about 200 years, and it's now being recognized as a patrimony, cultural patrimony of our land. So it reminds me about the responsibility that we as food designers have in terms of food sovereignty. And as a closing note, I just want to tell you that I think food design is a way to design for life itself. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Saludos.
Congratulations. Gracias, señor.
Qué buen evento.
Un placer tenerte.
Vale, igualmente.
Cuídate mucho.
Nos vemos
Thank
pronto.
you so much. Thank you
Gracias.
for also giving a presentation in English to get access to your knowledge. So thank you so much.
That's all right. Have a good night, guys. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you.